Hello Booktube, my name is Marcellus and this is my first video and I'm quite sure it will be my first of many videos. Today I come to you to start my Booktube channel and I have the Booktube Newbie Tag for you. First question, why did you start this channel? The answer to this question is often similar between people who start Booktube because I want to have more friends, not because I don't have friends. I have a lot of bookish friends in my life. I live with 5 people. We are 6 friends who live together and most of them are readers. In fact, half of the books in this house are not mine. All of the books that you see in the background are mine, but in the other side of the room there are 3 more shelves full of books that are not mine. So I live with people who like to read. But I want more bookish friends. I want to be inside a bigger community, to start conversations, to be part of bookish conversations around the world, not only inside my house. Second question. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? Well, I'm not gonna cut it. Every video is gonna be completely unedited because why would I edit a conversation with friends? I am fun and unique things that I can bring to BookTube. I am not illiterate. I can read in more than one language. My reading is not caged by the English language. Although the English language is my working language, is my main language of study and work and reading, even reading for pleasure, and my language of choice when it comes to literary production. Because by my trade is neuroscience. I'm a neuroscientist. I'm actually starting a PhD in neurophysiology in like 2 months. But by hobby, I'm a poet and novelist, and English is also my choice of language for these hobbies. Yeah, I can read in several languages. I like to read in different languages. You can see over here this green book collection is a collection in Spanish. I can read in Spanish. I can read in Portuguese. I can read in French. My French is kind of rusty these days. My French used to be much better than it is. I'm kind of dabbling in German right now. I have fun studying ancient Greek and Latin, but I cannot read in ancient Greek and Latin. That's way beyond me. I just find it fun to study it and put my be a little bit involved in it. I can do that, and I also my brain has not been rotten from years of only reading books made for kids. I don't, and I mean YA. Like there are many people who, especially my generation, who spend their entire lives only reading YA, and then they lose the ability to read anything else. They cannot open a book by they cannot open Jane Eyre and read. They cannot do it. Just the same thing happens with Jude Bros, who can only read Blood Meridian. Uh, so I read nonfiction. I really like to read nonfiction, and because of my job, most of what I do is reading nonfiction. And I'm actually even before starting, uh, even before deciding to do the Booktube Newbie Tag, I thought about a video series that I was going to do, and it's about scientific papers. I'm copycatting Steve Donahue here. He used to have the series Your Daily Penguin. I'm thinking about having a series called Your Daily Paper, in which every day I read a paper and I come here and talk about the paper. Nobody's gonna watch because who's gonna who's gonna watch a 20-minute videos about a paper concerning the relationship between 2 specific receptors and the retotrapezoid nucleus? But I find it interesting. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. What we are talking about again? Okay. Third question. I'm digressing myself over here. What are you most excited about this new channel? Again, to be part of a broader conversation, to start conversations, and to be part of a bigger bookish community. to create and enter the Republic of Letters, and this is the new Republic of Letters. Fourth question, why do you love reading? Well, because reading is concomitantly the second most efficient thing you can do to learn, and the second most fun thing you can do. So it's the second best thing for learning, and learning is like basic human duty and basic human necessity. Not only duty, but also a necessity and enjoyment too. And also reading is very fun. And you ask me, if reading is the second most important thing for learning, what is the first? Well, the first is experience, just doing it yourself. And what is the second most, and since reading is the second most fun thing, what is the first one? Well, let's keep this channel family friendly, shall we? Also, reading is kind of it's somewhat like entering into a flow and just opening yourself to new experiences and in a new way of perceived time. It's like control hallucination of time. Yeah, that's the. I can talk about reading a lot. There are many reasons why I love reading, and those are some of the most obscure ones. Intentionally, maybe. Fifth question: what book or series got you into reading? I got into reading quite late. I didn't read as a child, nor as a young teen. And in fact, when I was a young teen, I was like 14. I used to mock people who like reading, and just like most 14 years old, I thought the guys who like to read were, well, losers. But then, when I was around 15 or 16, can't quite remember right now, the book that got me into reading, well, the guy who got me into reading was Arthur Schopenhauer. Yeah, Arthur Schopenhauer. And that's why I need therapy to this day. I'm completely traumatized. Horrible experience. So yeah, I got into reading with Schopenhauer and philosophy and then nonfiction. In fact, for the first 2 or 3 years of my reading life, I did not read fiction. I was extremely prejudiced against fiction. I only read nonfiction and philosophy, which at the time I thought was nonfiction, but today I know philosophy is just fiction. But they don't admit it. What else? Sixth question: what questions would you ask your favorite booktuber? When are we going to get wine and calzones? My favorite calzone, by the way, is anchovies with gorgonzola. Question number 7. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Well, at first I thought this question is stupid. This is like not a challenge. Well, this is a conversation with friends. Imagine if you're asking this, like, well, what do you think the biggest challenge will be in having a conversation with your friends? You only think that only makes sense if you think you're doing this to make money. And if you are doing booktube to make money, go get a real job. Anyway, but the hardest challenge is that I have friends. So I live with 5 of my friends. We live in 6 people in this house. So if my friends are home and I want to have a conversation, I'm just going to have a conversation with them in the living room. I'm not going to turn on the camera and talk to you. So the hardest challenge would be to have a conversation with the camera instead of having a conversation with 5 of my friends. And I will always choose to have a conversation with my 5 friends who live with me. But that would change. That will probably change in the next month because I'm moving cities. For my PhD, I'm moving cities, and unfortunately, I'll not be able to live with 5 of my best friends ever again. So I'll be lonely and depressed, and maybe I will use the free time and loneliness to talk to the camera. Question number 8: when did you start reading? I already answered that when I was 15, 16. I started reading Schopenhauer and nonfiction. And by the way, the author that convinced me that sometimes there is something of value in fiction was the Portuguese author Saramago. His book Blindness was the book that was like, yeah, maybe this fiction thing, there's something to it, but still non-fiction is better anyway. Question number 9: where do you read? Mostly two places. I read in two places, mostly in my bedroom, and also in the living room, which is actually the our shared office in this house. There is a easy chair. I read in the easy chair. This room is the library of the house, but we still don't have a couch over here. We just moved. We moved like a month ago, and we still need to buy some things to finish the house. And we are going to buy a couch to this room. And when we have that, I'll read here too. So in my bed, in my bedroom, and the easy chair in the shared office. And in the future, in the couch that will be in this library. Question number 10: what kind of books do you like to read? I read mostly nonfiction because of my work. Most of what I read is scientific papers. Uh, because I need to do a test to. There are several tests to get into the PhD program, and this PhD program asks there's a oral test in which I have to read a paper and argue about this paper in front of three professors. So right now I'm refreshing a little bit on my physiology. My physiology is fresh in my mind because I just finished a master's in physiology. But I'm reading a lot of the textbook of medical physiology by Guyton and Hall. So a lot of nonfiction in my professional life, and a lot of nonfiction in my personal life too. Right now I'm reading two nonfiction books. I'm reading Sex in Nazi Germany by Hans-Peter Blua. I think that's how you say his name. And The Discoverers by Burstein. It's a gigantic book on the history of science and discovery. Uh, but aside from nonfiction, I also read a lot of poetry. And I'm not talking about modern poetry, which is not real poetry. I like real poets. I like Samuel Johnson. I like Shakespeare. I like Spencer. I like Milton. I like the Romantics, John Keats, uh, Lord Byron. I like these guys. Last night I was reading some poems by Kipling. So I like some formal poetry, poets from the past. And when it comes to novels, I mainly only read like what people would today consider the classics. So I don't read living authors. One of my favorite authors of all time, Umberto Eco. Umberto Eco. That's how you say in English, right? Umberto Eco. Uh, he died in 2016, which was 9 years ago. He is one of my favorite authors, but he's the probably the youngest author that I like. So I mostly read books that are somewhat that are consolidated in the canon or are very likely to be consolidated in the canon. And those are the types of books that I read: the classics and nonfiction and poetry. And the last question, which, as far as I understand, is a optional one. The question number 11: what does your book collection look like? That is about 75% of my book collection. No, 70%. These three bookshelves that you can see in the back are about 70% of my bookish collection. Right over here, right on the other side of the camera, I have another big shelf with the remaining 30% of my books, and That's how they are organized. Uh, as I said, this living room has more books than mine. There is a shelf from my friend over here. Over here, there are two big shelves. They also belong to my friend. In our shared office, there are two miniature shelves that are attached to the writing desks of two of my friends. So we have some books over there too. Yeah, but that is my bookish collection. You can see here this beautiful collection is the greatest books of the Western world. This is the first edition from 1954, I think. I have many. I have books in several languages in my collection. So my collection spans several languages, including languages that I cannot read, cannot really read. I have the complete works of Goethe in German, and I cannot read it. My German is very basic. But it was like $10, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna buy this. I'm not gonna pass on the complete works of Goethe in German for $10. So I just got it, and I was like, maybe one day I'll be able to read it. So yeah, that is 70% of my collection. You can imagine how the other shelf looks like. It's not that different from the other ones. It's a little bit bigger than the ones in the back, but that's it. Thank you for watching, and see you soon. See you soon, Booktube. It was a pleasure, and I'm sure it's going to be a pleasure to being part of this community. Goodbye.